Around the Ozarks in 5, brought to you by Talking Rocks Cavern. Explore the beauty above and below ground at Talking Rocks Cavern. The Springfield Greene County Park Board reminding you to go play. And Roto-Rooter Plumbing and Drain Service. Call Southwest Missouri's best plumber today for a free estimate. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Foreheads.
And it is Friday. We made it to Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. It's going to be a wild weekend. It's going to be wet and cold. And I'm going to be sitting outside at soccer for 4 games. So
feels like fall officially after this weekend. Who knows? We might not ever go back. All right. The Reed Springs School District was the target of the latest major cybersecurity attack. School leaders say outside investigators found that the names, birth dates, social security numbers, health insurance information, and more was hacked into in a very sophisticated breach. Those affected will be contacted, advised on steps to take now. So the school district is working to clean that up, make everybody aware. It could happen anywhere, apparently.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
if I were another school district, I would be on my toes. I mean, although, what do you do? I mean, you hope that it doesn't happen.
Well, hopefully learn from this, because maybe, I don't know. They hired the outside agency, so maybe there'll be some lessons learned or whatever, who knows. All right. A Springfield businessman made it official. Mike Hamra is running for governor. He is the president and CEO of Springfield-based Hamra Enterprises, LLC. He says his experience in customer service, as well as problem solving in business, will serve him well in what could be the governor's seat. He is running as a Democrat.
Okay. And sticking with politics here, Willard Mayor Sam Snyder resigned suddenly yesterday, just before he was set to be impeached. He faced criticism for firing the interim city administrator. Snyder said he plans to run for mayor again in April, so that's interesting. And there's a lot going on in Willard, because you'll recall we told you about the former mayor and alderman, Corey Hendrickson. Well, he pleaded guilty to federal charges for stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from truck drivers at Prime whenever he was employed at Prime Trucking. He was also serving as mayor at the time. So that's
lots going on in Willard. Yeah.
Yeah. Willard's got some stories, man. Drury University is getting $70,000 in grant money to try to train up teachers. We talked about this over the last week or so. Other organizations getting money to try to keep teachers in their town and grow up their own teachers. That money will provide scholarships for 12 students at Drury's Monette campus. They're studying elementary education. Students can apply for the scholarship in the spring of next year, this coming spring.
All right. Sigh of relief in Houston, Missouri this morning. The high school volleyball team will be allowed to compete in the state championship games. After all, the State High School Activities Athletic Association has disqualified them initially from going to state after 3 of the girls' players were in a charity volleyball tournament together. Well, that is accidentally against Misha's rules, or they accidentally broke that rule. The district fought Misha on it, and sure enough, a judge okayed the team to play until the investigation is complete. So that means the case is not necessarily over,
right?
But for now, they can play.
Well, that's good. I'm glad the judge came up with that, because I mean, to miss the state tournament as a high school sports player of any sort would be just horrible. You'd remember that the rest of your life. And it sounds like this was an innocent mistake, a charity tournament, so it didn't really have an effect.
But I was surprised because it was 3 players, not the whole team. So I understand same sport, same season, like, because then it's like seen as practicing as a team outside, but 3 players with a bunch of like fun, I don't know. I'm glad too. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah,
but.
and it's and then if it finds out that it was nefarious somehow, then they can vacate any wins that they would have gotten in the postseason, and the other teams would win. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Local sports is important. We know that. And local sports, the scene is being shaken up a little bit when it comes to conferences, just like it is nationally in the collegiate scene. The latest is that Glendale and Kickapoo high schools are joining the Central Ozark Conference, which will soon be a 10-team league. It follows, of course, Hillcrest joining the very newly formed Ozark Mountain Conference. So now you have the Central Ozark Conference, including Glendale, Kickapoo, Nixa, Ozark, Republic, Willard, Webb City, Joplin, Carthage, and Neosho. A lot of big schools. And the Ozark Mountain Conference, which is brand new. The newest member is Hillcrest, as well as Bolivar, Branson, Carl Junction, Logan Rogersville, Marshfield, and West Plains. So any way you slice it, those teams are going to be driving a while to play sports.
Yeah, that's good and bad. I used to love those long road trips, honestly, but the parents certainly do not. It
Yeah,
was the
and
bus with your friends.
it's interesting that there's one big name that's missing from both of those conferences, and that is Parkview High School. So it may be the odd man out here. I'm not sure, because I think it tried to get into the Ozark Mountain Conference. So
They gotta find. They've got to find somewhere for them, right?
well, no, you can be independent, but it's just odd. Anyway, and I think those start in 2024, 25. So this year, this school year, they're set.
Okay.
And the 23, 24 school year, they're set. Okay. Phil Melcher is out with the St. Louis Cardinals. Haven't heard of him. I hadn't either until this, but he was apparently the team's director of security for Busch Stadium. Melcher was ousted for what team officials called very inappropriate and hurtful language that he used during a call with a business that's located in downtown St. Louis recently. So that's who knows what he said. But Melcher's been with the team for 6 years. Before that, he was a U.S. Army Special Forces for 13 years. So, they tell it straight, those guys.
Yeah, I think so.
He doesn't sound like the type to mince words. So
Right.
if he had something on his mind,
Yeah, we
somebody
don't
heard
know
it.
him. However, yes.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
he said.
laughed when I saw his former career because I was like, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, it does. It does.
All right. St. Louis-based Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which everybody's familiar with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, they are now rebranding as Enterprise Mobility. Leaders there say it's a sign of what lies ahead in the way of electric vehicles coming, more carpooling systems that they help set up, etc. They rent daily about 1.2 million vehicles. That's crazy.
That's a lot. It's a lot of
That's a
cars.
lot. That's a lot. The CEO says the company has a team that invested in early stage businesses like a mobile energy storage company. That's pretty cool. And an ultra fast electric vehicle charging company, among other things. So, anyway, this rebranding is indicative, they say, of an ever changing mobility market. And it sounds like they are on the front end of that.
It's funny. I was reading that article, and they were talking about, as we move more to electric vehicles, it's going to be new to a lot of people who are coming. We got to have the people in place to help them and show them how to do it. And I was like, yeah, that's me, because when I was down in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, I rented a car. It was a work trip, and I rented a car, and they said, "Okay, we have a Tesla for you." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to. I didn't ask for a Tesla. I just want some whatever's cheaper than that." And they said, "Oh, that's actually cheaper than a regular car." And I said, "A Tesla is cheaper than just a regular gas car?" And they said, "Yeah, to rent it is."
I
And
don't like
said,
it. I don't like it.
I said, "Well, okay, then I guess I'll take the Tesla." They told me nothing. I'd never driven a Tesla or an electric vehicle before in my life. I've ridden in one, but I've never driven one. There were no instructions that came with it. I was like, walked out there, and there's no key. You hold a credit card thing up to the side of the door, and it unlocks the car. I don't know how you're supposed to know that. I don't know how to charge it. I've never charged it before, so I didn't charge it. I just turned it back in. And what else? I couldn't I couldn't turn it off. So I had to call Jeff, my friend who has a Tesla, and I was like, "Jeff, I'm in this car. It's a work thing, and I don't know how to turn it off." And he said, "You don't turn it off. You just walk away." And I said, "You just walk away from the car?" And I said, "Does it lock?" He said, "Well, it should lock." I said, "Well, it's not locking." So he took me through some things, couldn't figure out how to lock it. And then I finally saw it on the screen, this little lock, like a lock that you press that and it locks when you get out. But it was quite an experience trying to figure that thing out. I can't imagine somebody older than me trying it, because it wouldn't have been pretty.
You're
But
no
I'll
spring
tell you
chicken.
this. I'll tell you this. I accelerated in that thing like a bat out of Hades. You know what I mean? Those things can go fast,
I didn't know we
quick.
were going to take such a turn this morning.
Well, I'm just being honest with you. I was on some back roads, and like frontage roads. There was nobody
Yeah.
else, so I slowed her down, and then I hit it. And man, it's like, have you been in one when it accelerates?
No, I've never been in one. I've never been
Okay.
in one.
Well, then you'll experience it through me. When you
Yeah.
accelerate in one of those Teslas, it's like you're on a roller coaster, one of those roller coasters starts at 0 and then just goes. It
Yeah.
doesn't shift. You just go fly, your head goes back, and before you know it, you're at 75 miles an hour. It's
That's
unbelievable.
crazy. Huh.
So it's fun. I wasted a lot of battery power doing that,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Man, I want a new car so bad. I don't want a Tesla, but my minivan, I keep looking at new cars like every day. It's
Yeah,
dangerous.
now's a good time to buy a new car.
No, not new. New to me.
A
I've never
used
bought a
car.
new car.
Now's
I'll
not
never
also
buy a
not a
new
good time.
car. Mark my
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of automotive, O'Reilly's is doing very well. Very well. That's exciting
Good for
because
them.
they're
Yeah.
Springfield based, right? They reported a bottom line gain of 11% in the third quarter with a net income of nearly $650 million, up from $585 million a year earlier. Leaders
Nice.
say it is their employees who make the difference. And yes, they do.
They have great
O'Reilly
employees. Yeah, I'm a
employees
fan.
are so great. Yes, they come help whenever you're married to someone like Ethan, who's not a handyman. There's a lot of things he's very good at. That is
A
not one
lot
of
may
them.
be a stretch.
A few. There's a few things that both of us happen to be good at the same things. So, um
So we're out of luck.
very, very well-rounded over here.
When we've got a problem that's not in one of these 3 very small categories, we're in trouble.
Oh, anyway,
Uh,
go O'Reilly. Okay, and then
yeah, and
finally,
listen, I'm a big fan of O'Reilly. They are donors of Convoy of Hope, big donors, very generous donors, and they do a lot for the community in general. So I'm a big O'Reilly fan.
they prefer me over you, just for the record. But they sent me a personalized keychain.
I don't doubt
Okay,
that. Yeah.
because they opened a store in my hometown of Fort Gibson, Oklahoma,
That sounds
USA.
yeah.
Population 2. They moved there. I got excited. And then the next thing I know, I have a keychain in the mail. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But if we're going to one up each other, then I win.
Pretty good.
And finally, Apple's subscription services, yes, they will cost you more. All the above. Apple TV Plus is going up by $3 per month. Apple One, Apple Arcade, and News Plus going to cost more. So multiple streaming services or subscription services through Apple, just expect to see a price increase.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just a couple dollars a month, but you add that to Netflix going up, and it's, by the time you pay for all these streaming services and whatever TV service you have, I mean, you're paying more than what you used to pay for cable, which had everything. So
Right.
I don't know. We need
All
to go
right.
back to cable.
Maybe what's old is going to be new again.
Maybe it is. Well, the
Okay,
kids will
have
call
a
it something
great,
different, and it'll be real cool.
yeah.
Like they rebranded the the pressure cooker and
Oh,
called
the
it
air fryer.
an Instapot,
Yeah.
and they rebranded the convection oven, and now it's an air
Ethan doesn't
fryer.
appreciate when old kitchen gadgets have been renamed and rebranded and are now more expensive and shiny.
They've improved them a little bit, but I mean, honestly, my grandmother was cooking in an Instapot, 50 years ago.
Yeah. Tell him.
All right.
Tell him, babe.
I'm
All
surly.
right. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Have a great
joining us.
weekend. It's going to be
Yeah.
wet and cold, so deal with that. We'll see you back here Monday.